Under the gray skies of the front line, where the sound of artillery is only a distant echo, the Fatum Unit of the 60th Ukrainian Brigade once again demonstrates the deadly precision of its drone operations. New footage from the battlefield shows Ukrainian FPV operators executing a precision strike on 3 Russian soldiers moving along a defensive trench. The moment began when the FPV camera detected enemy movement, attempting to quickly cross the narrow, winding trench. From a low altitude, the drone zoomed forward, following the enemy's every move with terrifying composure. The drone's camera showed the first target attempting to run into the trench depression, but the Fatum operator's control system precisely locked onto its position. Within seconds, the drone dived sharply, and a directed explosion rocked the trench's edge, instantly ending the soldier's advance. Without waiting for the silence to subside, the second drone was released and followed the same path, hovering over the trench now filled with explosion dust. The second Russian soldier attempted to hide behind a bend in the dirt, but his efforts were futile. The Fatum FPV burst through the narrow bend and exploded directly in front of him. The climax of the attack was the most dramatic, as the third target, panicked, attempted to flee along the trench, ducking. The Fatum operator maintained his distance, stalking with cool composure before accelerating the drone. In one swift sweep, the third explosion ended all movement in the sector, neutralizing 3 threats. This precision action reaffirmed the Fatum Unit's reputation as silent hunters, mastering the modern battlefield with a blend of technology and professional composure. On an ever-changing front line, this footage serves as a reminder that unmanned aerial vehicle control is now a decisive factor in modern warfare. And in this sector, the Fatum Unit once again proved its superiority. At the same time, massive Ukrainian counterattacks along the Doropilia front line forced Russian forces to shift from offense to defense, creating a critical window for Ukrainian troops to rotate forces and deliver vital supplies to defenders in Myrnohrad. Here, Ukrainian units launched a massive wave of coordinated counterattacks along the entire Doropilia front line to block and cut off the Russian pincer above Myrnohrad. As the Russians were forced to quickly react to the unfolding developments, the Ukrainian command ordered to execute the most important move of the entire Pokrovsk operation. Ukrainian units counterattacked near Doropilia, combining air power, tanks, and precision-guided munitions in a synchronized strike that put Russian positions in great danger. The operation began when aerial reconnaissance detected Russian drone operators setting up in the territory of a local mine east of Rodinska. Within minutes, the coordinates were transmitted, and a Ukrainian Su-27 delivered a precise strike with a GBU-62 JDAM bomb, annihilating the launch site. Moments later, Ukrainian surveillance drones spotted Russian troops attempting to fortify a building on the outskirts of Rodinska. Another airstrike followed, again using JDAM bomb, wiping out the infiltrators and several Russian officers who had been directing operations in that area. Later, Ukrainian drones identified fresh groups of Russian soldiers attempting to regroup in another building inside Rodinska, but a Ukrainian tank opened fire on one structure, clearing it of enemy forces. Inside an industrial complex nearby, more Russians were spotted, so Ukrainian jets launched JDAMs again, with the first one missing slightly due to Russian electronic warfare interference, while the second flattened the site successfully. These airstrikes were part of a carefully planned prelude to the main ground counterattack aimed at securing Myrnohrad's northern flank and pushing Russian forces further away from encircling it. Ukrainian forces used the momentum of the airstrikes and ground units to simulate a massive assault launched from all sides, catching the attention of the Russian surveillance and forcing them to switch focus from offense to defense. The enemy abandoned temporarily attempts to reach the encircled units and instead focused on holding the line. Later, it became evident that the Ukrainian counterattack was a well-orchestrated distraction. While the Russian command concentrated all attention on Doropilia, convinced that the northern flank was the main target, Ukrainian commanders quietly executed a partial rotation of forces in Mirnograd. This operation enabled the secure evacuation of wounded personnel and the delivery of vital supplies and ammunition to those still defending the town. It was a textbook deception maneuver. Create pressure on one sector, force the enemy to divert reserves, and use the gained window to reinforce or extract troops from another direction. This first stage of the plan was completed with remarkable coordination. Ukrainian troops conducted the rotation and partial withdrawal from the semi-encircled town with no losses. The counterattack to the north drew away Russian reconnaissance assets, allowing evacuation convoys to move through safely under electronic countermeasures. Part of the soldiers were safely extracted behind the front lines, while the remaining defenders in Mirnograd resupplied and prepared to hold the new line. At the same time, this was not the only distraction for the Russians. While the Doropilia counterattack tied down their reserves, they were also forced to maintain focus on Pokrovsk, where Ukrainian forces continued to hold the enemy south of the railway line by constant clearing operations against Russian infiltrators. This persistent defense, the main objective of Ukraine's Pokrovsk operation, is working precisely as General Syrskyi planned. The ability to withdraw, rotate, and evacuate forces from Mirnograd would have been impossible if Pokrovsk had fallen, or if Russian units had broken through north of the railway. Ukrainian troops are thus not only defending two towns, but coordinating between them in a way that keeps both strategically viable and linked through controlled logistics corridors. The latest events around Doropilia, Pokrovsk, and Mirnograd reveal a multi-layered Ukrainian strategy to contain the Russian advance, transform Mirnograd into a fortress, and force Russia into another slow, attritional fight that costs thousands of lives for minimal territorial gain. Overall, the successful Doropilia counterattack has already bought Ukraine precious time, destabilized Russian planning, and improved the security of the northern approaches. If Ukraine continues to hold the railway in Pokrovsk and keeps Mirnograd supplied, the Russians will face months of bloody stalemate, one that Ukraine will use to strengthen its new defensive lines behind the